Hello and welcome back to another episode of Agents Across the Pond. Now, every week we bring together UK estate agents and US realtors for honest conversations about what it takes to perform at a high level within this industry. Now, we're not talking about shortcuts, no hypes, just the habits, decisions, and the mindset that separates the agents who keep moving forward from the ones who stand still. Now, whether you're building a brand, growing a business, self-employed, or simply trying to become better than you were yesterday, these are the conversations that you want to be hearing. My name's Gretton.
I'm Danny Smith.
So, Dan, to kick off this week, what's the one habit that you've seen in the US that consistently separates agents who perform year in, year out compared to agents who are just there for the quick win?
Oh, I think the consistency with
Caught you off
pushing.
guard there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Consistency with putting out like or farming their local community, their area that they work in the most, right?
Yeah.
And then follow up with past clients, friends, family, all of that sort of like your sphere of influence is where you sort of get all your referrals. Once you've provided someone with a great service, and this even happened with me this week, I got clients who are closing on a house next week, and they've just been absolutely thrilled with their experience. They're literally saying, you're the person I'm going to refer everything to. You've been so fantastic. I can't even wait to tell everyone how great you've been for my property search. We started our property search in March, and we're 3 months later, we're literally closing on our house. That's such a fantastic turnaround time. We only lost out on like 3 or 4 homes in terms of offers, and every other offer has been competitive. That you've sort of guided us in the right direction, and that has been some of the staples that have been drivers for getting consistent business and more business coming back my way. Is past clients, sphere of influence
I
after
like
you've
that.
done quality jobs. What about
Now,
yourself? What do you think about for yourself?
I think it's I think it's early mornings, it's setting standards, it's ultimately doing what you say you're going to do. I think for me that is kind of the absolute baseline. Um, it's one of those questions where we can break it down into so many different areas in terms of prospecting, negotiating, uh, winning properties, keeping properties, losing like there's so many different angles. But I think ultimately it's doing what you say you're going to do. You've had a really busy week. Obviously, we had a quick phone call the other night. It had nothing to do with the podcast. It was just us having a general chat. What's been going on? Where have the leads been coming from? Where's this big influx come from? And at the same time, Danny, like you've got the baby.
Yeah.
Amanda's obviously not joined us this week, but she's got the little one. She may not be back for a couple of weeks. However, like you've just had an influx of work with the baby. What does life look like?
Well, we had a mental week last week. The baby was in hospital for 4 days, so we were in a hospital for the best part of 4 days, making sure that he was okay, having all sorts of tests run, and thankfully, not to go into too many details on that, but he's doing excellent, and we got out to the hospital on Friday. But at the same time, we had an influx of several buyers that we were working with, just get under contract on offers that we were making that week. So in the space of a week, we had 4 houses under contract. We had the listing come on the market. I also had a phone call with someone that I'm actually going to an appointment to today, for a house in Florham Park, that is on the market, and that lead came from our Google, so our Google SEO team that we work with.
Oh, nice.
Digital.
Is that
Um,
would you say that's the first lead from Google that you've had?
I would say it's the first great lead from Google that
Okay.
I've had. I've had
Yeah.
several leads come from Google that are
They've just
not
not
in
got
the right
legs.
area. Yeah, they're not in the right area. They're a lot of travel if you wanted to take it on. And then also like just not within our brand's portfolio.
Portfolio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Um,
I feel like I get this as well. Now, for the listeners at home, me and Danny both work with the exact same SEO team. For me, it's been an absolute game changer to my business. And I honestly believe if I wasn't working with them, I may have actually packed this in a few years ago. Um, but the money I've invested into SEO, I've certainly seen the return of in fees. I don't think that's questionable whatsoever. But if you're an agent listening to this and you're thinking, right, where's my next listing coming to? And you know deep down that this is going to be a career, my advice is go and invest in search engine optimization because it can open some real big doors. What else has been going on then, Dan?
Well, so just finishing on what I was saying
Yeah,
is
sorry, mate.
it came through SEO. You know, the lady who contacted us from Denver, she had a family member pass, and they have an estate sale to sell. So that was kind of the way that that came in, which was some great news that we got to share. I mean, I've been doing SEO. Liam's been doing SEO for a lot longer than I have. He introduced me to the team. And I've probably been doing SEO for about 10 months now with this organization, and they pretty much helped me build my website from scratch. And it still needs work, don't get me wrong, still needs tweaks, still needs changes. It's nowhere near Liam's level. I still think, yes, like in terms of how his website is super organized. But it's definitely moving in the right direction. And they've helped tremendously with building the website, but then also what's the word? Is it optimizing? Optimizing,
Optimizing it, yeah.
yeah,
So,
optimizing the
so,
website
so,
so that
so that
it
optimization is essentially making sure that Google is reading the words. So you're building that authority, the clicks to then come in. I love how you said organized. I go on and I'm just like, oh my God, why is this here? And why is that there? And why is that not disappearing? Um, Ben would tell me to kind of wind my neck in and stop getting involved, which is good because at the very beginning, I don't know if you were the same, Dan, I was a perfectionist. I wanted to know what every button did, what every click went to, and why it was there. I don't care now. I just want Ben to go and do what he needs to do with the team. I want to be able to sit back and just take the phone calls. I'm too busy to worry about the website. But yeah, it's taking
that's the
yeah.
next thing for me, I think, is to be in a position where we're too busy to be worrying about the website. But again, I do think for us, we've still got a lot of work to do within the website, from just pushing information about all the different types of property sales that can be, from estate sales, um, to even just talking about like avoiding foreclosure for people as well, because I think when you get into that sort of situation with people, some people are very proud and they don't want to let other people know, even people like their neighbors, that they're in a sticky situation and they're struggling with their mortgage maybe. And some people let it go too far, and sometimes it's just too late. And then you've put all this equity into a house, and now you're going to let the bank repossess the house because you didn't want to have an open conversation with a professional and sort of help you get your equity out before it's too late. Because whilst you're not paying your mortgage, you're just hammering your credit, you're hammering all of those things, and you're not bringing in money to pay for to pay it down. And not only that, some people think that, oh, like if I can pay a portion of it, like that's not that's borderline worse sometimes because you're just throwing the money away instead of just going, okay, let me see if I can sell it and then pay off what I owe and then take whatever I have left, sort of thing. So loads of different things that we want to add into the website. I guess I haven't really heard from you, to be honest with you. I on the phone earlier this week told you how busy I've been. I was wondering what's been going on for you in on the Whittle.
Tell you what, mate, I feel like I've had an absolute roller coaster, a proper go on the Big Dipper. And I'm not the biggest fan of roller coasters. Um, but yeah, I feel like I've been all over the place. So last last week ended up with four fall throughs,
Oh,
four sales falling through. Um, and it worked out at around about 15,000 in fees. Now, to the US listeners, 15,000 in agency fees might not sound a lot, but if you go back to previous episodes, you'll realize that the fees in the UK aren't the best. Um, so that is a massive kind of kidney shot that I took last week. None of them savable either, which is a real shame. So they're back on the market. I've had a few offers this week though, which is really positive. So quite a few sales this week. A couple of good solid fees that have come from that. Um, we had one that went on the market. Not what day is it today? So we're recording
Friday.
Friday. It went on the market Wednesday afternoon. We sold it yesterday morning.
Oh wow.
Um, and that was nice. I actually thought that was going to take a little bit longer than it did. That lead came through a solicitor, came from Google. Oddly, I didn't actually value the house. Another agent valued the house. And I find this actually the beauty of this is why you've got to be consistent. It's why you've got to be kind of on your toes consistently, because it was a probate property. Someone's passed away. The agent, not the agent, the solicitor was instructed to act as a personal representative. They found an estate agent. The estate agent valued the property. The probate was then submitted. Probate was granted. They had their figure. But then the agent was taking their time, and the solicitor ultimately turned around and said, "Right, I'm not going to work with you. I'm going to go to this person." And it just happened by pure chance that my name came up on Google. He gave me a call. It's not a property that really fits my portfolio, um, but I seem to just get on with the solicitor. So I said, "Right, I'll take it on." Took it on, sold it in less than 24 hours. I've not valued it. If I was going to value it, I actually probably would have valued it a little bit more in the hope that we would have got the price that we got as well. Um, but that, 24 hours, that's kind of £3,000 that came from Google. And I didn't put loads of work into it. So sales like that is really lucky. But yeah, an up and down couple of weeks actually. It's now building the pipeline for the next part of the year. We're 6 months in. We've got to keep going. I'm on target for where I need to be. So yeah, got a good couple of listings coming on at the moment. Consistency, mate.
Yeah.
On the toes, getting out there, letters, prospecting, speaking to people, conversations. You never know where these conversations go.
That's just what was the question again at the very beginning? Just want to like we
Don't know.
touched
You
on
asked me.
no,
You asked me what I
no,
was doing.
no, I know that, but the very first question that you hit me at the beginning of the pod.
Oh, that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Just
for
want
me,
to
it
touch
was
that.
what was the one habit that you see that separates agents who perform year after year compared to agents who are chasing the next win? Like
Yeah.
what's because for me, looking at the US, Amanda's certainly mentioned this in the past that you have agents who will go out on a course. I'm going to make this amount of money. I'm going to do this. There's your realtor license, and then don't get anywhere because they think it's just like, oh, I've got one sale. I've made 10 grand. That's me set for life. When ultimately it's not. You've got to keep building at it. So yeah, what separates them? The
I
good
think
agents and the shit agents, ultimately.
what separates good agents and not so good agents?
Yeah.
I mean, I would touch. It was exactly what you said. So I mentioned like how the sphere of influence is what makes you sort of be generate the business that you need to generate and stuff like that. But when it comes down to what makes good agents and what makes bad agents, I think it's what you actually said before, and not to repeat, but like it's just literally when you say you're going to do something, you make sure you do it. You're consistent. Everything you are, even from your website standpoint as well, like if you've got anything that's stated on your website, it's like you back it up with, hey, I
Yeah.
arrive early 15 minutes. You've got to arrive early 15 minutes. Hey,
Oh yeah.
you everything's just got to be what you say. So you are what you say on the tin sort of thing. That's not a
How
man. What's
Dan, we are right in the middle of the World Cup at the moment.
yeah.
Obviously, you're in New Jersey. It's a real shame. So funny enough, I was sat there the other night watching England in New Jersey, and I thought, how devastated must you be that you are literally a stone's throw away from the stadium, but yet you're not seeing your home nation play.
I mean, I got offered to go and watch them, but like the tickets were like $1,200 to $1,300. I'm just like,
Oh, come on, you should have took that.
I
Don't tell me
don't
you.
want to spend it. I just don't want to spend it. I'm like,
You
it's
could have
not worth it.
like
If the
I,
tickets are like $500, then yeah, I'll do it. But like, it's not.
Dan. Listen, I think when Amanda comes to the editing of this, she's not going to listen to this part. Sometimes you just need to take that opportunity and go and buy the ticket. Tell her it was $500. I've done this in the past where I've bought something and then kind of gone, oh, it was only like 20 quid and it was 500. Like, just play the game, mate. Come on, take the opportunity.
No, I
So
mean, the opportunity could arise again, but I mean, us getting through the Azteca in Mexico is a big
I will,
question.
mate, we will steamroll that.
You think
I've got
so?
no issues with it. Yeah, no issues with it. I
The
don't, I
altitude
don't,
is massive.
no, I don't think the weather's an issue. I don't think the height's an issue. I think people making out that this stadium's an absolute coliseum. No, we will steamroll them. How is the World Cup affecting the housing market? Are you noticing? Has it slowed down ever so slightly because people are invested in the World Cup? Is the weather having an impact? What's the script over with you guys?
Not really. I wouldn't say it affects it. The only thing it affects is the rental market. There's a lot of Airbnb homes and stuff like that that people are doing and charging astronomical amounts of money. But outside of the rental market, the real estate market's still moving very quickly. Homes are still going over asking price if they're priced correctly and
Yeah.
if they're in a good condition. You know, some homes that are not in good condition or are dated definitely sit on the market a little bit longer until the seller comes to the realization like that's not going to get the prices. They don't have the bargaining chips to sell. They're not selling luxury, and when you sell luxury, you kind of have a little bit more demand because you can drive people to drive that price up. But
Yeah.
when you deal with sort of rundown properties over here, it's kind of like, or not rundown, but just dated, and you need a builder to come in and do all the work. The builders are not in the industry of driving up price.
No.
They make their offer and just go, listen, that's it. Like, and then they sort of back off and just let you sit on the market, and then you come crawling back to them essentially.
So
It,
I find here in the UK, it's we don't often see that where people put an offer forward and go, look, my offer's 500,000, and then comms are silent. I find it's very rare that happens. I don't know about yourself over there. It's something I would recommend. It's a course I've done here where I qualified as a certified advanced negotiator.
yeah.
And now for me, it's all about having a bit of a plan. And, I've put offers forward on properties on behalf of clients, a bit by representation, the same thing. That's why I think it's probably important for you guys. But I will have negotiation plans that can last a week. I think the longest negotiation plan I've had was 2.5 weeks, and we really made people sweat on that. And in the end, we walked away with 4 acres of land for free on that plan. Like it's amazing how it comes to fruition in the end. But when it comes to builders in the UK, some of them will put an offer forward, just trying the hand, but very rarely do people put an offer forward and then go, actually, like I'm not gonna increase my offer. That's it. How do you find in the US that a lot of builders would come in with real low balls?
Well, yes, but a lot of them have done their numbers and they know what it's going to cost them to build the house. They know what it's going to cost them to sell the house and what the house is going to sell for in the future. So they want to make sure that they cover their spread with like a 10 to 15% buffer in case any of the material costs go up in time. And also like labor is not the bigger issue because most of them have teams that they sort of manage the labor costs. But when it comes to the materials, they can't, there was the tariff situation was changing the landscape dramatically like over the last year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So these builders just they needed to be they need the buffer of 10 to 15% in case something crazy happens with lumber or whatever it is, because all these houses are built out of frame of wood, you know what I mean? So that sort of stuff. And then ultimately they're trying to leave themselves a big margin where they make a decent amount of profits on the house. So they always are lowballing, I would say, compared to someone who's going to come in and buy the house, let's say, renovate it over time and live in it whilst they do the renovations themselves. But they're not usually they're specific types of buyers that are probably not going to come in and knock a house down and then make it bigger than what it is. You know, if you've got a ranch, for example, you can easily add a level to a ranch and make the house twice the square footage that it already is. And a ranch could have a 3 bed, 2 bath ranch, do you know what I mean? On the fair, all on one floor. And then boom, you add another level. You can have 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms upstairs and add 3 more bathrooms upstairs. And then all downstairs becomes living space.
now
Um,
I seen I seen your video this week of the property that you are currently marketing.
oh, yeah, yeah.
um Now, with that, Dan, I always remember years ago you mentioning that you can buy a property and essentially, I might be wrong in how I put this across, but you can knock it all down. But if you've got one wall standing, you can rebuild a house around it. And obviously, I've seen that AI kind of this is what it could be, and I'm a big fan of that. But what are the rules in and around houses in the US? Do you need planning permission? Do you have to go to the local council? Do you need I don't know. How's that work?
Yeah, there's an array of different things. So, like, if you take all of the walls down and you pretty much go down to sort of the foundation and the studs of the house, then it changes how you get taxed on the builder's side. But it's considered then a completely new house. But these builders will leave a wall up to satisfy the town, and just then it's called a refurbishment or a renovation instead of a new house because they kept the wall. And then there's a less tax that they'll pay when they sell the property. Might be a lower percentage on the capital gains tax, but it's different. And not only that, there's also different rules that apply as well to a home that you renovate versus a brand new home. If you build a brand new home, then there are warranties that you have to provide from the builder standpoint, because it's
And
considered
when
a
you say a brand new home, because to me, Dan, if you're taking down all the walls and just leaving this wall here,
yeah,
that is a brand new home.
not
But
here from the rules.
wow, so if I leave a chimney in place, it's sound. But if I take that down and there is nothing on the plot, it's then a new build.
Yeah, so even if you take all the walls down, the roof off and everything, then you just have the foundation even still there, because most houses have basements here, right? Unless you're like by lakes with high water tables, then most of the time you'll have a basement foundation there. As soon as you take down to that, and there's nothing else there, you can look straight across the land and just see the basement sort of thing, and without a wall being up, then that's the point where you're at a new build. Um,
Wow,
but you can do a lot of things, even so you can keep a wall up and you can still expand the size of the home. You can still change the foundation if you want, and do pour concrete and stuff in the floors, and do expand the basement out if you wanted to, and dig. Excuse me. But the rule is basically you knock everything down. You have tax differences and then warranties that you have to also provide from the builder standpoint, like usually like a 5-year warranty for everything that goes into the house, versus if you knock everything down besides a wall, you're basically considered as renovating the house, and it doesn't
crazy.
change the amount you'll get taxed, and then you also don't need to provide those same amounts of warranties as well.
If
But the
if
builder's
you're
still providing like a year.
Yeah, when you are just selling a property, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith are selling their two, 3 bedrooms, semi-detached house. Do they are there any legal requirements that they need to get for the sale? So here, you don't need a gas certificate, you don't need an electric certificate, you just need something called an energy performance certificate. And when it comes to warranties, obviously, if they're not there, they're not there. Most people take out what we would call an indemnity. Is there anything that you guys legally need for that sale?
Yes. So I'm just want to make sure it's like just anyone selling their house. Like if I'm selling my house.
Yeah, if you're selling your house
Yeah.
now.
If I'm selling my house now, the only thing I need is what we call as a certificate of occupancy.
Okay.
Um, so we need a certificate of occupancy, and then obviously a buyer. A certificate of occupancy is basically something that every home sale and every rental is required. So whenever you get a new tenant in your house, you need to get a new CO. And whenever
Okay.
you sell your house, you need to get a new CO as well. CO, basically the fire inspector comes in from town, and he makes sure that you've got, smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, and you have fire extinguishers located in the kitchen. Um,
Yeah.
and then that basically is saying that the home is in good stead and it's basically a livable home.
Do you know
Um,
what's crazy? I
Good.
can't can't think of many homes that I've been to in the UK that have a fire extinguisher.
Well, nobody has them up here, I'll tell you that for now. But it has to be there to pass the CO. So in order for the transaction to go through, an inspector has to come in, has to see a fire extinguisher in the kitchen, in within reach, and then it also has to be like say a little higher than the countertop height, and you'd be able to get to it in case there was a fire. But most people, when they walk through the door after their home has been purchased, they take that down immediately and put it somewhere that they know where it is.
In the cupboard,
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly, because it's just an eyesore. It's a big red canister that's sitting on the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
Most
Wow.
people take it down.
So
Not advised. Do not do this.
yeah, do not do it. Keep it on show. Keep it at an arm's length. Wow. Okay. Now, what's the is it- when you say town, is that the council?
Yeah, basically kind of like your Whittleborough Council, every town here, they keep all the records of every property in the town. They make sure that, when you want to make changes, you have to go to the town and get permits. So if you want to do additions, change the way that the house looks, add 500 square feet, move a bathroom to the other side of the house, I don't know, whatever it might be, electrical, plumbing, whatever you need to do, you have to go get permits for them. But that doesn't you don't need permits for upgrades. So like if you're keeping a bathroom exactly how as it is, but you're just
Yeah.
doing new tiling, new tub, new this, new that, as long as you're not moving any of the main things and it's all of the cosmetic things that you see there, then there's no permits required for that type of stuff. There's permits
Okay.
required as soon as you start moving electrical, moving plumbing, moving beams in the home, opening walls up that have structural load support in the house.
Yeah.
That needs to all be permitted and then reviewed by a town inspector that basically the town has a person working for them.
Now
And
let's say Dan, if those permits aren't there,
yeah,
is the price reflected of those permits not being in place?
so it depends. So are you asking like in a circumstance where someone's done work on a house and the permits haven't been
Yeah.
pulled? Well, you need your inspector and your realtor to work together. We have something called OPRA for every single township. It's Open Public Record Search. So your realtor, when they're going through a process of helping you purchase a house, their job is to pull that record search. And then, like for example, if it says that the basement was a unfinished basement, and then you go down into the basement and you see, oh, look at this completely lovely finished
It's a
basement with
cinema room.
electrical everywhere. It's a cinema room, yeah. Like then you're gonna question it, and you can request that the seller, apply for permits and get that done because, to the town's knowledge, hey, it was a unfinished basement and you've done it, and that's a cost on the seller. But then it's also then a choice as well. Like, your buyer can be like, hey, we're happy to take it, as is, and just hope
Well,
that the work has
I
been
was
done
just
by
about to say if
professionals
that
and stuff
gets
like that.
yeah.
And
So
that's
if that gets raised, the seller can't turn around and go, well, I'm not getting the inspector, I'm not getting the town to come and look at it, take it or leave it. I've got
yeah,
other offers.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. They can do that. And someone in the market that we've had, someone will be willing to take it, and take the risk that the work was done professionally by a licensed person, even though that they didn't go and get permits.
Okay. So realistically, what you're saying there, mate, or as I've taken that, price is really the real objection when it comes to purchasing a property.
Yeah.
With all these like little moving parts that people might not necessarily think of, and this is the power of buying agent to sell an agent. What are buyers and sellers actually worried about?
Uh, when it comes to buying the property,
Yeah,
I've got the same right now, like it's underground oil tank.
yeah,
Old septic tank. So like if you don't have public sewer like available and you have an old septic tank here is going to set you back $30,000 for a three-bedroom septic. Four-bedroom septic, you're looking at like $40,000. They'll last you about, 35 to 45 years. But that's a big job that you got to do. You got to excavate somewhere in the backyard, typically, or in the front yard, and put in a huge tank, which is dealing with all your sewage. That's a big issue. The one that I'm dealing with now, the home that you had just mentioned before, that has an underground oil tank. Um, that's probably been there for years. We don't know exactly how many years it's been there, but there's standardized like uh someone who's installing an underground oil tank would say, hey, listen, the time frame to keep an underground oil tank is only have it underground for 20 years maximum and then have it removed and put a new one in because they deteriorate with all the water in the ground over time. You do not want the underground oil tank to leak and cause any contamination because if you have contamination, that's a whole other environmental hazard that then the town gets involved in and it takes ages to resolve that type of issue. So they're the big issues that are for sellers and buyers. And even right now, going through this transaction with the clients, There's builders that are interested in buying it. There's people who want to buy it, but they're skeptical of making enough because they're worried about there being an underground oil tank leak. There isn't proof of it until you rip it out of the ground.
Yeah.
But that's the part of then negotiating an offer. Hey, are you willing to take it out of the ground? Are you gonna, we'll pay for taking it out of the ground, but if there's any leaking or any there has been an oil spill under there and it's been leaking for years, the contamination is not our burden to fix, it's the seller's burden to fix. And they'll have to get the town out to test the soil, dig out the contaminated soil and then refill it with new soil that's not contaminated, of course.
See, I feel like it's very rare that we come across cases like this. And when it comes down to having conversations, negotiating about this, that obviously you're dealing directly with a buying agent. Do you ever just deal solely with the buyer, or is that quite rare on its own?
Yeah, because one of the builders we're working with to make an offer on the house, and our job is to represent our seller as best we can. That's the person who we start our fiduciary relationship with through this process, and we make sure that we have to, in the circumstance, we have to represent both parties fairly, right? But we can only do what one party says. So if the buyer's only prepared to make an offer of certain amount, that's kind of it. And we then guide our clients and say, listen, we think it's fair. We show them what the market's doing. You use comps to show where the house should be. And you got to take all of the factors into consideration as well, like the underground oil tank. You got to take into consideration the size and beds and baths of the house. Sometimes I'm not saying this is a specific with this house, but like every seller wants the most that they can get for a house, right? And
Yeah,
we as agents, we want to sell the house for the most money. We're actually incentivized to because the more we sell the house, the more money we sell the house for, the more money we make in commission because it's based on a percentage that we sort of agree with them. So we earn more as they earn more. So we want to sell a house for as
yeah.
much as we can for them. But also you have to
But it's
prove
all
to the
it's
market.
also and buyers, sellers, they need to be a bit more realistic. I went to a property this week, Dan, and so I made a conscious decision maybe a year and a half ago that I do not take on apartments. I don't like leaseholds. There's a lot of working parts. Management companies are involved. It seems to take a lot longer. You need a certain demographic of buyer to walk in who wants, an apartment rather than a three-bed semi-detached home that's within a quarter of a mile for the same price with a garden and driveway. Um, and I valued this home at 350,000, and I think that is correctly positioned for what the space is and the square footage of the space. But yet, when I said it, the couple were like, "Oh no, not a chance. We've been told 425." But there is nothing within a mile that has that square footage for that price. But because they've built this and they've sourced these bricks and they've done that, they thought that if we've spent all this money, then it must be within the bricks and mortar. And actually, no, you've just overspent on the quality that you want to enjoy. And my advice was, do you need to sell this to be able to make that move to Spain and buy the bigger house? They said no. And I was like, keep it. Use this as your hub. But I think there's more working parts around it. But in terms of comparable evidence, I valued it at 350. This was the only apartment with a garden and a garage, so it had a bonus. But the other units that were in the block, we had another two bed that was on the market for 300,000. We had another two bed that was on the market for 315,000. And the day after I went to the property, the 300,000 unit sold for 285. And I only know that because I had a conversation with someone totally external to the property I went to. And it was just pure chance that they went, "Oh, I've just sold this in this block." And I thought, okay, I went to that block yesterday. That reassures me. Um, but yeah, the expectations I find quite often are
That's
what you want and what the market says are two totally different things.
That's kind of like similar here. Like, I'm looking at a two-bedroom, one-bath house, and and a completely updated two-bed, one-bath anywhere in the area. is selling for a maximum of 550.
Yeah.
You know, I'm dealing with a house that has potential for a builder, but the work's got to be done, right? And you know, we're looking to sell around about the same price because of the proximity to the school and the park. Um, but ultimately, there's no two beds, one bath in the condition um, that our properties in that will sort of demand the price, if you know what I mean. Um,
Sorry, mate. My phone was ringing then.
no
Um,
problem. So like
I,
when
I,
it
I,
comes to that sort of situation, it's like, yeah, aligning your buyers with what the market's and just providing them with all the comps. Like, do you guys print out and sort of showcase like, hey, look, these are all the homes that have sold that are similar to your house that have sold in the area in the last 6 to 12 months?
yes. So when I go to a property, I think it's really important. Now we have something that a lot of high street agents will absolutely fixate on, and it's called the Right Move Best Price Guide. And it's a portal where we can log in, we can put in the address. It will show us the previous listing if it's been on the market before, so we can see the old photos, we can see the old floor plan, um, and then we can research kind of a set period of time, type of property, how many beds, how many bathrooms, and you can really sit there and go through and go, well, this has had an extension and that's all for X amount, and this hasn't got it, and X, Y, and Z. I use a few other systems as well because I don't think it's right to just focus on um, that one unit or that one portal essentially to get all your information. But here, mate, the I every single day I go to evaluation, there will be another agent's folder on the side, and inside that they are all the exact same. A letter. Thanks, Danny, for inviting me out. The property's great. Well, how have you wrote this? Because you've turned up with it. You didn't know what you were walking into.
Yeah.
Um, we think we can achieve you X amount, and they've just wrote it in. Then it's a right move, best price guide showing you the properties over the last 12 months. And then probably some piece of shite that says, oh, well, we're better than this agent and we do this. And it's all the same lingo. There's nothing different between it apart from the color of the folder. Um, I like to go a little bit further in what we're putting into our packs. I'm not going to say what we put into our packs just in case people are sat going, oh, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start doing that. And then I've got to find something else to get one over on someone. But um, yeah, we have a digital one, we have a hand delivered one that I like to leave something there. But yeah, how do you get yours? Is it the same type of thing for the MLS?
So we use the MLS. We do a comparative market analysis, but we really do all of the work ourselves when it comes down to like the actual analysis because we input, how many beds, bath, square footage, whether it's updated, and then we look at the past solds. And what I do is typically when I go walk into a meeting as well is like I have them with me to showcase like, hey, this is where the house should be. Like you should be able to sell at this price. If you can get that price, that should be what you accept. And it depends on the marketing strategy too. Like, we've talked about that before, whether we've sort of talked about the people shooting for the stars. We've talked about the
Yeah,
people grossly undervaluing a house and misrepresenting buyers, misrepresenting a price for a house where it gives unreasonable expectations for buyers. And then we've talked about just under, sorry, at market price and then just under the market price, which tends to drive the most offers for the home.
yeah,
Um, so you sort of talk about the strategy for them and go from there and just use the comps as like, hey, your house is very similar to these homes. These are the
yeah,
slight differences. Like, oh, yours has got a one-car garage and this one's got a two-car garage. Uh, this one's got is completely updated. So, that's about $60,000 more than your house because they've got a brand new kitchen, brand new bathrooms in their house, and everything is updated, sort of thing,
yeah,
or even 100,000, and you sort of align with them with that. But we have to going into it. We pull all the comps ourselves. We basically draw a map within a mile around the house, We look for homes within one bedroom either side. Typically, if it's a two-bedroom house or a three-bedroom house, we're looking at other two bedrooms up to four bedrooms, and then the same with
Yeah.
the bathrooms. We also look at the land size as well. So some houses, you've got like a quarter of an acre of land. Some houses have only got a tenth of an acre of land. Some houses have got half an acre. That also adds into value because
Yeah.
it shows you what your opportunities to develop the property and make it bigger if you wanted to in the
But then
future.
so there are some properties where, like the first house I purchased, we were essentially landlocked in this cottage built in 1810, and we were landlocked. And next door owned the property, the land next to us, and the whole private lane. Because when the property was built, that was their only access, so they were landlocked, and it's just swapped over. But that land, even today, won't add any value to the property. It's more of an inconvenience now because it's overgrown, it's not been looked at after. The people who actually own the land can't see it, so it's out of sight, out of mind. Does it always add a value? I don't necessarily think so. I think sometimes it does become a bit of a, oh, well, it's nice that that's there, but I've got to look after it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just there. There's no value to it. It's just sitting there and wasting
Yeah.
away and not being used. And then you have to spend time maintaining it, looking after it, and
Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? How's the market feeling at the moment? Because in the UK, I feel like, honestly, mate, it's been a bit of a roller coaster the last couple of weeks where it's been dead busy, then it's quieting down. There's rumours that the banks are now down valuing properties. Is that going to affect the market? How are you seeing it?
well, I don't think that's the case here. I mean, we just put an offer on a house 100,000 over the asking price, and
Whoa, why are you doing that? That's not good negotiation.
when you got 14 offers to beat me,
Wow, 100
um,
grand over asking.
yeah.
Tell your
So,
client they can buy my house.
but again, like, it comes down to the fact that like you just look at what's selling, right? These people are listing these houses. They list them so that they get these kind of offers and then can brag that they sold the house 100,000 over asking.
Yeah, so
When it
we've
could be
spoken about this
realistically.
before, that there is a bit of a trend of agents putting the property on at a low price and allowing the market to push it up to say, oh, we got 100,000 more for this. That sounds great. However, it's not necessarily the case in the practice. Is this a big trend at the moment where people are doing it?
Oh yeah,
Or is it
everyone.
just a man?
I mean, I don't typically do it like, but everyone is sort of doing it right now. Like this was a so I'm very f familiar with all the two beds, two baths, two beds, one bath in the area because I've been looking with the client for the best part of 4 or 5 months with him, and he finally came to this like point where he's like, no, I really now I'm going to be hungry for offers, and he'd been very stagnant and slow, and oh, I'm busy at work, and then all of a sudden, right now we hit the summer, and it's like, boom, go, 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 like, I got to get myself a house now, right? So
Yeah,
we've been looking for houses in this range for a long time. And every house that we'd looked at, we'd made offers on houses in the past and we'd missed out. We'd made offers on a house